Welcome back to episode number 17 of the How to Become a Psychic Medium series. A series in which I will guarantee you, if you watch these videos from the start to the finish and you absorb that juicy content within, I will make you a medium. However, let's back up there. If you are that 1% of individual out there who can't find the time to watch these videos, however, you have issues with your mediumship, you've got to be able to help yourself for me to be able to help you. There's literally, I can't put it any nicer and more blunt way. You've got to find time. I know these videos sometimes are quite long, and I don't do it for the likes, and I don't do it for because I need more people to watch the videos. I couldn't care less who watches these videos. I'm only bothered about helping you. And I've got to drill it into you on every one of these videos that this mediumship course is nothing without you, without your intent, without you putting the hard work in. I can give you the understandings, I can give you the teachings, but if you aren't willing to pursue this and you aren't willing to take that ambition, that drive that you have, the wants, needs, and desires to connect to the spirit world and harness it into your own energy, then unfortunately there's not much I can do. That being said, each and every one of you are like a jigsaw to me, a completed jigsaw. Every one of the jigsaw pieces retains a little bit about you. It retains some of your ideologies, your concepts, your notions, some of the life lessons that you've been through, some of the conditioning, social conditioning. It's down to me in my spirit teams and your spirit teams to get you back on track. To do that, what we've got to do is we've got to take that jigsaw piece and rip it to shreds, because that's why you found my channel. You didn't find my channel because you're doing great at this and everything's going rosy-dozy. You found this channel because there is something that you need to learn. Every one of you, and even there might be somebody out there who's like, oh, I'm perfect. None of you are perfect. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but you've got to understand, as a human being, we are not perfect. And when somebody says they're perfect, they don't need no help, they don't need this, but they're watching this channel, it's their ego that's speaking. Their ego, and unfortunately, we know what happens if you haven't watched episode number 1. We've already battened down that ego. So if you have just stumbled across this video, I recommend you to go and watch video number 1, which should be, if I've done this correctly, it should be up at the top. If you're new to the channel, my name is Psychic Medium Jordan Coburn, and I can prove with evidence of the afterlife. I've helped thousands of people already on this earth plane to once again be able to reach out and contact their loved ones in spirit from the understandings and the teachings. And now it's your turn. Each and every one of you, my friends, can become great mediums. In here, at Help Heal Serve, we can give you the very foundations, the blueprints to forge your own unique understanding to the spirit world. Not to mention, we have the loving and supporting Help Heal Serve family. I'd like to say a big massive thank you to each and every one of you who are channel members out there. You are smashing it. Thank you for supporting the message. Thank you to every one of you who smash that like button, who share the content. Thank you to all of the subscribers. Thank you to every one of you for allowing us to become part of your journey. In this episode, we are going to be speaking about clairaudience. This is clear hearing. As you are hearing me now, your ears, I said, ears? Clairaudience, your ears, I'll get my words out. Your ears are perceiving the sounds emitting from your device. You know this in the everyday life is just being sounds. When we are speaking about clairaudience, this is where you will audibly hear the spirit world within the materialistic realm. You will, just as we are talking now, I often hear, I've got some examples that I'm going to give you, but I've heard in my entire medium, I've got to be honest with you, in the early days of your mediumship, it's very profound. And one of the reasons why it's profound is because clairaudience, you're used to hearing people all of the time. Each and every one of you, you might not be very good at feeling energy. You might not be very good at seeing spirits. You might, but there's one thing I think each and every one of you can probably do. I mean, you probably wouldn't be watching this video if you haven't got the ability of hearing, or you might be watching subtitles, but in a nutshell, You have all used hearing from birth. Every one of you have perceived sounds in very different ways. When we are working with the spirit world, those vibrational patterns, those sounds are going to be reverberated through the materialistic, and you are going to audibly hear them. What will you hear? Well, you'll hear screams, cries, growls. Only joking. You'll hear the spirit world speaking to you. For example, I'll give you a little bit of an example of clairaudience. When I first started working, well, not when I first started working with, because if you don't know my story, I'm not going to bore you with it, but I've seen the spirit world from the age of 6. The spirit world aren't nothing new to me. It was really more, for myself, my life journey has always been that of intrigue. I've always been intrigued by the spirit world. I always wanted to be not part of the spirit world, because I'm already part of the spirit world, not in the energy sense, but mind, body, consciousness. I've always been with spirit. And I was always destined to do what I'm doing now. Even though if you had said to me many years ago, Jordan, you'll be on camera, you'll be speaking to people, you'll be telling people how they can also communicate with the dead, I would have laughed at you. I would have went, that's not my decision, that's not my choice, that's not what I want to do. That being said, look where we are now. When I first started, a lot of you, I think what I need to do is spirit asking is to just reaffirm something. We all have spirit guides. Every one of you. You don't have one guide. A lot of people think there's a gatekeeper. A lot of people think that there's only 2 guides that help them. Listen, you've got teams. When I say teams, you can think of the easiest way to describe it, right, is I've got to be very careful with my words here for YouTube and stuff. But if you ever think of like a Q&A, when you go and you watch somebody from Parliament or you watch some government representation and you've got loads of people around that one person, well, in this scenario, you are that one person and you've got teams around you. Whilst you might not even agree and you might have never even met them, that doesn't take away the fact that you will have a guide for every facet of your life. If you are taken up running, guess what happens? You are going to get a guide who has been in the materialistic and has lived out an earthly existence and wants to help other people to become good at running. You are also going to have guides who like singing. You are going to have guides. A lot of people who come to this planet, they're like, oh, it's just magical. I can just do everything. There's going to be a lot of you who will see people on TV and you'll be like, they've just got it all. They're just naturally gifted and born. Well, the thing is whilst yes, there would have been a little bit of hard work put into their journey, they've also had a helping hand. They've had a guide. And each and every one of you have guides. You all have guides. We've got many videos on this channel, but somebody told us the other day that they only had one guide, and it's so disappointing and depressing to think that this individual has been led to believe for the entirety of their existence that there is only one spirit helping them. It's through no fault of their own. And it doesn't matter what I say, they're probably not going to believe it. But you have multiple spirits. Now, this is why I'm coming into it. Now, I work with what are called archangels. Angels, demons, I work with all of it. I don't discriminate. I have a very good understanding. You've got to realize mankind's fear of all energy comes from ignorance at best and lack of understanding. When you have a good understanding, it supersedes the notion to protect. I always tell each and every one of you, I'll tell you it on all of the videos, I've been here from day one, you do not need to protect from the spirit world or the realms. The realms are what you call demons. You have to protect from poor understandings and bad teachings. And unfortunately, this earth plane is saturated in an abundance. If there's one thing you can guarantee from this life, there is going to be one notion or theory that is going to put and implant the living fear into you. Why do you think it is? Why do you think it is that human beings as a species have evolved in such a way that panic, scaring, fear-mongering has become rife? It's become the forefront of everything. You look at everything in this world is all fear-based. Why? Ask yourself the question, why is it? You can control people by fear, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Let's wake up to it. Let's smell that. You can control the populace by fear. This is why it has been adopted. This is why mankind spread misinformation. This is why mediums come onto platforms and they don't do readings and they do all of these different things. And it's not right. And before I go into a rant, that's what we're putting right. So don't worry about it. This understanding, this ideology of help heal serve is a universal one fit glove for everyone. It gives everyone the ability to know that you are good enough and you have the skill sets and capabilities from birth to be able to connect. We're not on about any of this fluff. Guess what? You're getting it all free from you. We're not on about all of the filler words, all of these different big spiritual jargon words to make people look good. Listen, our egos were battened down right at the beginning. But the point that I was trying to make there, sorry, I went off on a little bit of sometimes I go off on little tiswas with spirit. You've got to remember, right? The reason why I do that, there's nothing wrong with this mentally. And I know I probably say it all the time, and a lot of you probably get sick of it saying it, but to anyone new who's watching these videos, the reason why I jump around a lot, it's not because I'm not an organized person, or it's not because I don't know what I'm doing. It's very, very... I work with the spirit world, the realms, and when I'm communicating on behalf of them, it's like a three-way conversation taking place. A lot of you probably even detect that. A lot of you probably watch and go, bloody hell, he's having different conversations there. And that's not because the voices in my head told us so. Technically they did. It's because I'm having a communication with the spirit world. So as I'm speaking, the spirit world are channeling through me. And then the realms will be like, oh, say this, Jordan. And then I'm like, oh, well, I think I should say this as well. So we can package it all up. That's why sometimes my videos do get a little bit of ratty. I did at one point, like, try to sit down with spirit and we tried to bring a little bit of order. And what we realized very, very quick is I don't work like that. I'm very ADHD orientated. My little brain, I mean, I've probably got some sort of different diagnosis to ADHD, to be honest, because my brain is just mental. It is crazy. It's doing 1,000 miles an hour, 1,000 different things. That's why it works well with spirit, because they're like that. They've got so much information. They've got so much energy that they want to pass on to loved ones. They've got so many different things. So we're like, you know, like kids in candy shops, all of it. It's like, but that's why sometimes I jump around. I did try to kind of control it, but it just didn't work well. I ended up coming in front of the camera and I wasn't enjoying it. I didn't enjoy what I was talking about. I didn't enjoy this. I didn't think it looked natural reading this and this. And we just scrapped it over. Thought, sod it, we're just going to let this little tour rag go and we're just going to go with the flow. That was them calling me a tour rag. Yeah, them just called me a tour rag. Chaz. They said, no, only joking. When I was first appointed, well, it wasn't my first archangel. And please, to every one of you, the reason why I've mentioned your guides, I don't want you to look at the teams that I work with and you to be disheartened in any way, shape, or form because you don't work with these energies. There might be some of you that believe you do work with these energies. I'm not saying you do or you don't. That's not my place. That's your journey. What I am going to say is I have predominantly 4 archangels that I work alongside of. 4. These archangels have very, very different specific roles when it comes into mediumship and spiritual development. You have Raphael, who is depicted as a male by mankind's literature. It's female. And whilst there's a lot of you going, oh my God, you can't change the history books. Listen, what you've got to understand with that is the reason why I say it's female is because when I come into mediumship, I as a person lacked a feminine energy. I didn't have it. It was non-existent. And for those of you who don't know, in mediumship readings, you have to be a bit of a chameleon. Not in a negative way, not in a nasty way, not in a way that looks deceitful. But you've got to adapt to the person in front of you. You've got to be able to manage them. I know you're getting a bit confused there, so I'll explain that. When you are delivering a reading, sometimes people don't know how to accept what has been said to them. So you as a person, you have to adapt to your surroundings. If you have Frank sat in front of you and Frank's a big burly bloke, then is it wise for you to approach Frank in a kind of in an alpha sort of stance, I'm this and I'm that? No, it's not. Frank's not going to listen to you. So what you have to do, you have to read Frank. You have to understand, okay, how is going to be the best way as me as a vessel I can communicate energy to Frank. I can give him the information that he needs. I don't want him to close off. I need to do it. So therefore, you become kind of like a social chameleon. You are going to adapt to the reading. You are going to adapt to the person. I would actively encourage any one of you who are wanting to become a medium to remember that in the first instance. Don't go into every reading and try to just be normal. Don't go into it lazy. Don't go into it and just sit there and go, I'm doing the reading and this is, no, that's not what you're there to do. Yes, you are going to be passing a message over for the spirit world. But remember, whilst the spirit world are going to give you the information, it's down to you as the individual to kind of facilitate and to organize and to help the individual. Again, coming back to the narrator, in this reading, you are the narrator of the storyline. You are the one who is going to be picking the pieces up by spirit, and you are going to be putting it down in a storyboard so that the individual in front of you fully understands, comprehends, and can get the clarity, direction, and purpose that they need. If you just went into it and you were just like, this is what you need to do, the spirit will tell me this, the majority of people are going to switch off at that point because you just look arrogant, you don't look very, again, you've probably all come across these sorts of people. You've probably come across people where you've went, oh, I don't like that person. I don't like the way that they do that. Very cold, very hot. A lot of you probably see it about me, but the thing is with me, I can prove everything I do with evidence. I'm not one of these people who just come onto platforms and say things because to me, that's illogical. I don't need to do that. This, I'll let you all in on a little secret. This, what I do here, is the beginning. This is just the start. This isn't even the start line of what I have planned for this planet. This is the baby steps that we're taking to get to where we need to be. So it doesn't hold me any value trying to trick any one of you because I'm going to be on camera, I'm going to be on TV, I'm going to be on many different platforms doing this for the rest of my life. And if there's one thing that I've learned, right, mankind are very good at seeing through crap. If you are very poor at what you do, you are very bad at what you do. Mankind, don't get us wrong, you're always going to get people who are envious and jealous of you. But the majority of mankind, they can see through people's crap. Whilst sometimes they don't want to speak out because of the way that they've been taught, the way that they feel, the way that they've been made to feel, they don't want to speak out about it. Mankind aren't stupid. And coming back to Raphael, I know there's a lot of you who are like, oh, Jordan, I've read it in a literacy book and I've read this. Listen, I don't read mankind's literature. I don't need it. Never have, never will, never needed to use it. It's just like each and every one of you. If you work with the spirit world closely and you use your intuition, you'll never need to read it again, either. That's why a lot of people read it and they get this big disconnect. It's not because you're not good enough. It's not because you can't do it. It's because you are fighting against a simple process. You've took a simple process and you've made it stark raving mad. Because there's 25 different ways of doing chakra alignments, and you've got to do this to make sure you're going through your awakening, and you've got to do this, and you've got to do this, and you've got to do this. That doesn't need to be like that. Raphael, come to me, is a feminine energy. The next, so we've got Raphael there, we've got Asgard. Asgard's, I'm not going to mention the other two because it's oh, okay, right. So we've got Raphael, Asgard, Metatron, and Michael. They wanted us to say the names. You'll all be familiar with Michael, Archangel Michael. And I would actively encourage each and every one of you, if you are coming into mediumship, if you are starting out on your spiritual journey, Michael is an archangel that you need to be very comfortable with and very familiar with. In times of need, in times of doubt, in times of fear, you call upon Archangel Michael and he will be there. And when I say he and when I say she, with Raphael. Remember, why do we have male and females on this planet? Why do we have the male and female sex? To reproduce. We need it. Do we need to reproduce in spirit? No. Therefore, there are no male and female angels. There are depictions of male and females, but a lot of people, what they don't realize is the spirit world, the energy realm, will mask an idea. For example, if you thought that the little baby Jesus was going to come to you in a dream and that was going to make you better at mediumship, then guess what you're going to see? You're going to see little baby Jesus riding a donkey, whatever he did back in those times. If you are somebody who likes the idea of a native chief, an Indian, then guess what's going to happen when you are working alongside of the spirit world? Guess what you're going to see? And why do you think you're seeing it? Do you think it's because that spirit's actually there? No, it's not. It's because the spirit world are manipulating, not in a nasty way, because that sounds horrible, doesn't it? Manipulating your mind. But they are using your imagination to show you things to make you feel comfortable. Remember, the idea of the spirit world is to have each and every one of you working alongside of them, or to at least help as many of you as they practically can. Therefore, they are going to do ideas that you are going to be comfortable with. We don't have male and female sex in the angelic realms, in the energy realms. That's something that you go through on this planet. A lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people are like, haha, Jordan doesn't know what he's talking about. Jordan doesn't know about this. Jordan doesn't know about this. This is what this said. This is what this book says. And it's like, hang on, have you actually took a second to stop, reassess, and then use your own intuition and use your own connection, rather than just spewing out this verbalization that mankind have doctorated into literature and made history? The problem is with that is it's not going to work for you. It's really not. Metatron is awesome. I recently watched a show actually called, I think it's Supernatural, and a lot of the angels, archangels, who I work with, what in there, and I was like, that's just not, even they were like, we're not like that. They were actually physically laughing. I could hear them roaring with laughter. But then it brought up a very valid point. A lot of people will watch these TV shows and depictions of man and will make it their reality, because what you choose to accept is what you welcome into your world. If you are watching a TV program where there are evil archangels and there are all of these different things, and when I say archangels, right, the reason why I give them the title of archangels, it's because it's simpler for you all to understand. I don't conform or follow mankind's terminology, I just don't need it. But if I started saying different things, you just wouldn't have a clue what I'm talking about. But archangels are very, very rare to work alongside of. And I'm not saying that because I'm special. I'm not saying that because I'm gifted or anything like that. It's just it is very, 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 very rare that you will work alongside of them, depending on what your path is. When I do readings, I always know. Sorry, Asgard. I forgot to mention Asgard. He's shouting what about me. Asgard, straight to the point. Blunt. In all fairness, right? Me and Asgard are like two peas in a pod. I'm very, very regimented, very, in some ways, very methodical. I'm a people watcher. I do all of these different things, right? And Asgard, to me, is like an energy representation of me, but a lot more stern. And when I say stern, he does not. I mean, I don't put up with people's crap, but I've literally seen even situations where I would be a little bit more empathetic and I would be a little bit like, oh, there you go, there you go. I've seen him come through readings and literally shatter people's dreams. Like, literally tell them that they're wrong. Tell them that they need to grow the hell up. Tell them to stop thinking about selling the house. Start looking after the kids. All of these different things. And the person sitting there crying their eyes out because, not because it's nasty, but because that energy has come through and spoken directly to them and they've knowing everything that they needed to do in those moments to be like, right, okay. I once had him come through, right? Every time he comes through in a reading, this is me. I'll give you a little example of what I'm like in a reading. So I'll be sitting there like, I'm just ready for the energy to come through. And if Raphael comes through, it's going to be a sad one. I instantly think, I've got to kind of psych myself up, ready to start speaking. I start getting teary and emotional, very bubbly. This is what I think when Asgard comes through. Crap. Because the second he starts coming through, his presence is known in that room. It is instant. He will just instantly. And there was one time where there was this. I was doing a reading for someone. And what had happened was the family had been torn apart, which is very, very sad if you think about it. Because the loved ones in spirit had left the family a house. And you might even know people that this has happened to. The loved ones in spirit had left the family members a house. What do you think happened? I bet you the majority of you all know what I'm about to say. They fought over it. The parents hadn't even been dead for over a week. And they were all fighting. The parents were furious in spirit because they didn't want to see the family torn apart. This isn't what the spirit world want to witness. And when I say furious, I don't mean they're going to come back with rage. What I mean is it was upsetting and appalling to see how something within the materialistic could change their loved ones. Just change, because it was quite a bit of money. It was quite a bit of money they stayed. Anyway, guess who come for a reading? Yeah, come for a reading. And the person who come for the reading was the one who had been put is the next of kin, I think the correct terminology is. They're basically the person who's in charge of issuing the money and selling the properties and doing all these different things. Straight away, without them even opening the mouth, the second they sat at the table, I said to them, look, I'm going to be blunt, keep this quick and to the point. You need to sort this mess out. And I still remember now, the loved ones come straight through. After Asgard, he come through and he was very blunt, very stern. He give a little bit more. I'm not going to go into full depths of what was said. But there was quite a bit said for the first minute, 2 minutes of Asgard, basically saying this. It was a kick up the backside. It's what they needed. He's saying it set the stage. Remember, it's kind of not like entertainment, because it's not entertainment, but it's got to have a storyboard. It's got to have a pivotal peak. Therefore, when you come into a room, the spirit world and energy know exactly what your expectations are, what you are feeling in those moments. So it's their job and their responsibility to get you ready to receive. Therefore, this individual had like 2 minutes of bashing. Then the loved ones come through after that. And it was fascinating and mesmerizing all of the same to witness, because this person's life changed like that. From being tossed into the turmoil and the tyranny that unfortunately they had the burden of, they had their clarity. I could see it in the eyes. That was it. The conviction, the focus, the drive. They knew where they were heading. They knew what they were going to do. They still keep in touch with us, actually. Well, to be honest with you, right, everyone who I've done readings for keeps in touch with us. Majority of them watch this channel. So you all know I don't use names very often in these videos because I just don't think it's very fair to the person. But there is sometimes I will. But that was one cool story. The next, why don't we tell you a little bit? I've mentioned, oh yes, sorry, coming back to it, sorry. It's been a bit hectic tonight. There's just so many different voices. Back on track. Telling us to go. The reason why I started mentioning archangels, but we went off topic again. They're very active today. The reason why I mentioned archangels is when I use clairaudience, this is one example. I was walking into work one day, and before I ever knew anything about Asgard, I knew about Raphael, I knew about Michael, and Metatron, because I had used Metatron in quite a few different classes. Remember, they're not male or female, I just refer to them as that. And I was walking into work, and I'll never forget it. And I literally got out of my car, walked across the car park, and as I was about to enter the doors, I heard, "My name is Asgard. I'm here to help you." And it was like in one of the most poshest, I would say posh, stern, right, ready to rock sort of. I don't know how else to describe it. Very husk. And I remember just standing still, like, what the hell was that? And that is the ability of clairaudience. I heard something from nothing. Then I went inside and I thought, as many people would, what was that? That was mental. That was crazy. But there's a little bit of me that's like, that's amazing. I love stuff like that. And I heard, "My name is Asgard, John. I'm here to help you." And that's when I was first introduced to Asgard. Then I started doing a bit. Another fun fact as well for each and every one of you who might want to try and research Asgard. I'd never heard of anyone called Asgard. So you can't even say, well, actually, you might have just manifested that because you've. I don't know to this day anyone called Asgard. There isn't anything in mankind's literature or anything that depicts anything of Asgard. It's kind of a secret archangel, um, in terms of mankind's notions. But each and every one of you, that was one example. The next example is a little bit more sad. I'm going to keep the person's name out of this video because I don't really speak to them and I don't want to give them any energy or give them any time. They're not coming into my videos now like that. So what I'm going to do for the purpose of this video, I'm going to make up a name, but it's going to be a true representation of exactly what happened. So let's just say arguments here. This person's name is Alice. I hadn't spoke to Alice for quite some time, and out of the blue, I heard Spirit say, "Tell Alice don't go out," which was a bit peculiar because using the ability of clairaudience, I heard it, and it was clear as day, as if you could feel somebody breathing in me at the same time. I heard it. I knew it was there. And because I hadn't spoke to this person for a long time, it wasn't my subconscious mind wanting to reconnect or all of these different things. Loads of people have different theories and ideas. It's very simple. It was clairaudience. There is no ifs or buts about it. Alice, tell Alice don't go out. I only know one person called Alice. I don't know anyone else. I knew immediately who that was intended for. I ignored it. Yeah, just thought I'll ignore it. A couple of minutes later, tell Alice don't go out. And it was a little bit more stern this time, and there was a little bit more authority to it, and it was a little bit more like, "Jordan, you are going to listen to us, or were you all just going to come? We're going to say it again and again and again and again." I messaged Alice, and I said, "This is going to sound really weird. I know I haven't spoken for a long time. What are you doing tonight? Please don't go out." And for some reason, as I was texting, a lot of you might know this is automatic writing. I was writing, but I was writing things I wasn't thinking, if that makes sense. So I was like saying, "Look, don't go out tonight," and all these different things. It just went from tell Alice don't go out to automatically, it could have meant don't go out in the morning, don't go out in the afternoon. Automatically, I knew don't go out at night. So I says, "Don't go out tonight." And Alice messaged back and says, "Oh, I've just met this new boy and we're going to go out on along the coast in the car. Quite a cool thing to do." So I said, "Please don't go out. I can't explain it to you, and if I did, you wouldn't believe it. Just don't go out tonight." Anyway, yeah, don't. I won't. I thought nothing of it, if I'm honest with you, right? Because once you've delivered a message for Spirit, you forget about it. I didn't think anything of it. I had done my job. I had done everything in those moments. And even now, I remember it and I tear up a bit because the next day, I got a phone call from Alice, crying her eyes out. The gentleman who had been driving the car had been in a fatal car crash. Her side of the car where she would have been sitting was obliterated, Fortunately, like, he had survived. Well, let's say it's fatal. I mean, it was really, really bad. He was in a pretty bad way, but he did survive. He made it out. However, she wouldn't have. She would have been instantly dead at the scene. The car was literally where she would have been sat. So she sent us pictures, and as you can imagine, she was terrified. How the hell did I know? And that's one of the things, I say this all of the times, the spirit world like to leave breadcrumbs. They like to, a lot of people get this mixed up, and they think because I say they leave you breadcrumbs and they don't tell you all the information, it's not because they're holding information back, or it's not because you're not good enough. It's because there's a bigger picture here. There's not just what you want in those moments. It's not just what that person wants. The spirit world are methodical. They will give the person what information they need, but they'll also make sure when that person leaves there, they've got questions that they want to answer for themselves to spirit. So that's the way that spirit world work. Now, as you can imagine, using clairaudience in that scenario saved somebody's life. Amazing. I've also done investigations where I've heard whispering. It's a little bit more difficult of a one. Spirit are saying the reason why a lot of the time people hear whispering, not in my case, because in the case of what I did, it was reaffirming what I had actually said, because I said, have you just been whispering? And you hear pss, 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 once again. But sometimes when people don't know how to use clairaudience or haven't refined the ability correctly, at the beginning it'll be like a murmur. You might hear pss, 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 pss. Then you might hear John, pss, 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 John. And then as time goes on, it'll go to full sentences like, hello, how are you doing? And all of these different things. But remember, this is just one of your clair senses. A lot of you, if you've never experienced, I'd love to know down in the comment section if you've actually experienced this before. But a lot of you might have not even experienced this, and you might be now thinking, well, does that mean that you're not good enough? Does it mean that the spirit world aren't trying to talk to you? I give this example all of the time. You, in this scenario, are going to be a mobile phone. A mobile phone will make outgoing calls. And a lot of you might have seen this before, where your phone, you'll hear somebody talking to you. Your phone's operating as it should. Your phone's fully functioning as it should. But there's some sort of a glitch, there's some sort of an error network where you're speaking, you can hear your friend, but your friend can't hear you. You've all had it happen, I would imagine, at some point in your life. This is no different to the spirit world. The spirit world are actively talking to you. You, in this scenario, are the mobile phone. However, unfortunately, you have not been able to refine your speaker, so you can't hear it. You can't hear the sounds that are coming through. This is that scenario that should give each and every one of you a little bit of a glimpse into how the spirit world work. They're always there. They're always speaking. They're not on vacation. They're not on holiday. They don't want to not speak to you. They're always speaking. But you as a human being lack the abilities to hear. You have the capabilities. You have the skill sets. You don't have the knowledge or the understandings, which is what you are going to learn from this channel. Remember that the spirit world are actively always trying to get in touch with you. Always. And clairaudience is not just very, very real. It's a great way to be able to communicate. If you are somebody who has used clairaudience, what I would do the next time you hear spirit is to ask them for validation. For example, let's go through a hypothetical scenario. You're washing the dishes in the kitchen and you hear Barbara. Your name is Barbara in this scenario, and you think, that was strange. I've just heard my name. Then you go back to washing the dishes. The next time you hear something, what I would like you to do is to thank Spirit. To thank Spirit for saying your name in those moments, and to ask them to say something different the next time. Then continue doing what you're doing and get ready for the next sound. Keep it documented all. Document everything that you hear. I'll say it all of the time. Dream journals. Document your journey, especially with clairaudience. Document all your different clair senses. It shows you how much you are refining those senses by documenting it down. I know it's a lot of you might find clairaudience is a little bit difficult. But what I will say to you all is mediumship isn't there to be forced. It's something that comes natural. It's something that is for each and every one of you easy peasy lemon squeezy when you have the understandings that you're going to learn from this channel. You found it for a reason. There's a reason why at this point of the video, remember to smash that like button if you do enjoy this style of content. Make sure you check out the rest of the content that we've got, because we've got paranormal stuff in the playlists and all sorts. But yeah, I think we're going to bring that video to an end there now. I think we've covered everything that are you happy? Yeah, we're all happy. I'm going to love you all and leave you all. If you did enjoy this, why don't you check out the videos pinned, top left and right. And until the next time, bye-bye for now.